She stood in the rain, one hand over her swollen belly, the other clutching the last message her family had sent: "You're no longer one of us." But what broke her wasn't being abandoned, it was knowing the father of her child had disappeared without a trace. What she didn't know: that same man was about to return, and when he did, he wouldn't just change her life, he would rewrite her destiny in a way no one saw coming. She never imagined her life would fall apart so quickly. One moment, she was the pride of her family, kind, obedient, and full of dreams, and the next, she was standing outside their house, the door slammed shut behind her forever. It started with love. A quiet, unexpected love that grew in stolen moments and late-night conversations. He wasn't like anyone she had ever known, gentle, attentive, and mysterious in a way that made her feel safe. He promised her a future, a life where she would never feel alone again. But promises are fragile things. The day she told her family she was pregnant, everything shattered. Their disappointment turned into anger, their anger into rejection. They didn't want explanations, didn't care about love, only about honor, reputation, and what people would say. And when she couldn't give them a name they recognized, someone they approved of, they made their decision. She begged. She cried. But the door closed anyway. And the man she loved? He vanished. No calls. No messages. No answers. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. She learned to survive alone, carrying not just a child but the weight of betrayal and abandonment. She found a small room, worked long hours despite her condition, and whispered to her unborn baby at night, promising a future she wasn't even sure she could provide. There were nights she broke down completely, wondering if she had made the biggest mistake of her life. But every time she felt her baby move, something inside her refused to give up. She would fight. For this child. For herself. Just when she thought she had lost everything, a black car stopped in front of her. The man who stepped out wasn't the one she remembered. He looked richer, colder, powerful. And the first thing he said wasn't, "I'm sorry." It was, "I've been looking for you everywhere." It happened on an ordinary day. She was leaving the clinic, exhausted but relieved after a routine checkup. The sun was setting, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and gold, when a sleek car pulled up beside her. At first, she ignored it. Until the door opened. Her heart stopped. It was him. But not the version she remembered. Gone was the simple man with warm eyes and easy smiles. In his place stood someone refined, confident, someone who looked like he belonged to a completely different world. His clothes, his posture, even the way he carried himself, everything had changed. But his eyes. His eyes still held the same depth she had once trusted. "I've been looking for you everywhere," he said, his voice steady but heavy with something she couldn't quite name. Anger surged through her. "Looking for me," she repeated, disbelief and pain mixing in her tone. "You disappeared. You left me when I needed you the most." He stepped closer, but she took a step back. "You don't understand," he said quietly. "Then explain," she snapped, tears threatening to fall. "Explain why I had to face everything alone. Explain why I lost my family. Explain why my child is growing up without a father." For a moment, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he told her the truth. He hadn't left by choice. The life he had hidden from her, the wealth, the powerful family, the expectations, had caught up with him. When his family found out about her, they forced him away, cutting off all communication. They had plans for him, alliances to protect, a future that didn't include her. But he fought. He walked away from it all. It took him months to break free, months to find her again. And when he finally did, he was too late to stop the pain she had endured. "I never stopped loving you," he said, his voice breaking for the first time. "And I'm here now. Not just for you, but for our child." She wanted to believe him. But trust doesn't come back easily once it's broken. I don't need your money, she said firmly, even as she noticed the expensive car, the quiet power surrounding him. I know, he replied. But I want to give you everything you deserved from the beginning. And he did. Not just promises this time, but actions. He bought her a home where she felt safe. He made sure she received the best care. He stood by her through every moment of her pregnancy, never leaving her side, never making her feel alone again. And when the baby was born, he was there, holding her hand, whispering encouragement, and crying when he first saw their child. But more than the millions he gave her, more than the life of comfort he offered, he gave her something she had lost long ago. Respect. Support. Love. In time, her wounds began to heal. Not because the past disappeared, but because she chose not to let it define her future. And one day, standing in the home she never thought she would have, holding the child she had fought so hard for, she realized something powerful. Being abandoned didn't make her weak. Being broken didn't make her worthless. And love, real love, doesn't just promise, it proves. Her story didn't end with rejection. It began with resilience. And sometimes, the people who walk away create space for the ones who truly belong to walk in, and change everything. Hook, Chapter 2, keeps viewers watching till the end. The moment he held their baby for the first time, she saw something in his eyes that terrified her. Not doubt. Not regret. But a secret, one that could either protect their future, or destroy everything they had just rebuilt. Life didn't transform overnight, even after his return. Yes, the house was beautiful, the silence no longer heavy with loneliness, and the future finally looked secure, but inside her heart, storms still lingered. Pain doesn't disappear just because circumstances change. It stays, hidden in quiet moments, waiting to be felt again. He tried, every single day. He showed up to every doctor's appointment. He made sure she never felt alone again. He learned the small things, how she liked her tea, when she needed space, when she needed reassurance. And yet, despite everything he did, there was still a distance between them, invisible, but real. Trust. It had been broken once, and rebuilding it was not as simple as saying, "I'm sorry." Then came the night everything shifted. She went into labor earlier than expected. Panic filled the room as pain gripped her, stronger than anything she had ever felt. For a moment, fear took over, fear of being alone again, fear of something going wrong, fear that maybe happiness was never meant to last. But he was there. Holding her hand tightly. Whispering, "I'm not going anywhere." Again and again. Hours felt like forever. And then, a cry. A tiny, fragile sound that filled the entire room with life. Their baby had arrived. Tears streamed down her face as she held her child for the first time. In that moment, every struggle, every tear, every sleepless night, it all felt worth it. But when she looked at him, she noticed something. He wasn't just emotional. He looked shaken. Not in a bad way, but as if something deep inside him had been unlocked. Like he was realizing the weight of everything at once, the responsibility, the love, the past, the future. "What is it?" she asked softly. He hesitated. And that hesitation scared her more than anything. "There's something I haven't told you," he admitted. Her heart dropped. After everything, was there still more? He looked down at their baby, then back at her. "My family, they won't stop," he said quietly. Walking away from them wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a fight. She felt the air leave her chest. "They've already tried to find you before I did," he continued. "And now that they know about the baby, they might try again." Fear crept in, but this time, it was different. She wasn't the same woman who had stood crying outside her family's door months ago. She had survived worse. "They can try," she said, her voice steady despite the tension in her chest. "But I'm not running anymore." For the first time, he smiled, not because things were easy, but because he saw her strength. And from that moment on, everything changed. Their life wasn't just about healing anymore, it became about protecting what they had built. He used his power, his resources, and yes, his millions, not just to provide comfort, but to create security. Legal barriers, distance, and control over his own life. He made it clear to his family that he would not be controlled again. And she? She grew into someone even stronger than before. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. Raising her child with love. Creating a home filled with warmth. And slowly, piece by piece, allowing herself to trust again, not blindly, but wisely. Their relationship didn't become perfect. But it became real. Built not just on love, but on effort, honesty, and the courage to face difficult truths together. And one evening, as she watched him playing with their child, laughing, completely present, completely devoted, she realized something she had once thought impossible. He didn't come back to save her. She had already saved herself. He came back to stand beside her. And together, they created something stronger than pain, something stronger than fear. A future. Final message, strong and inspiring. Sometimes life breaks you in ways you never expected. Sometimes the people you trust the most walk away when you need them most. But your story doesn't end there. Because strength is not about never falling. It's about rising, even when no one is there to lift you. And when love is real, it doesn't disappear in difficult times. It fights its way back, and proves itself through actions, not words.